Imagine America in the late 1970s and early 1980s. People rushed through big city life, hurrying to work, grabbing snacks on the go. For most, coffee was nothing more than cheap powder from a jar, dissolving in seconds. The true taste of the drink remained unknown to them. But at that time and in that place, a story was being born that would change the habits of an entire generation and create a new culture of coffee consumption. This is the story of Starbucks. 1953, Brooklyn, New York. Howard Schultz's world, from the very beginning, was full of limitations. He grew up in Bayview housing projects where families lived paycheck to paycheck. His father worked as a delivery driver. No stability, no insurance, no protection. One day, his father slipped on ice and severely injured his hip. What happened next? Nothing. No medical help, no compensation, no support. In an instant, a strong man turned into an unemployed, broken, and desperate figure. Howard saw it all with his own eyes. He saw his father sitting hopelessly on the couch, stripped of dignity. Later, he would say, "At that moment, I understood what it means to be a number, not a person. And I promised myself, if I ever have a company, it will respect people, not destroy them." But back then, he was just a boy. Poverty left a deep scar, shame about his home, no private room, not enough clothes. He admitted, "When you're that poor, you never forget it. Poverty leaves a shadow." And yet, that shadow didn't break him. It ignited a fire inside. Schultz had no special path to success, but he had resilience. He played sports, took odd jobs, selling newspapers, doing whatever he could. Eventually, he became the first in his family to attend college, Northern Michigan University, on a football scholarship. To pay for school, he worked as a bartender and a salesman. After graduation, he landed at Xerox, one of the best training grounds for sales in the country. He excelled, but even that wasn't enough. Fate then led him to a small company that sold kitchen equipment. His job was to sell coffee machines to local cafes. And one day he noticed something strange. A small company in Seattle was buying more and more manual coffee makers. For the rest of the country, this was rare. Americans had long preferred electric machines. But this company was ordering manual brewers in huge quantities. Curious, Howard went there himself. When he opened the door, it was as if an invisible force wrapped around him. A rich aroma of freshly ground coffee filled the air. This was Starbucks, then just a chain of 4 stores. Inside, the atmosphere felt more like a temple devoted to coffee than an ordinary shop. Behind the wooden counter stood baskets filled with beans from Sumatra, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Costa Rica. At that time, America barely knew whole bean coffee. Most people thought coffee was born as instant powder in a jar. But here they sold beans, dark, fresh, aromatic. Howard realized why customers preferred manual brewers. They valued the ritual of preparation. Unlike electric machines, the drink didn't scorch, and the taste stayed rich. When a barista handed him a cup of freshly brewed coffee, the thick steam and aroma surrounded his face. Adding sugar or milk felt almost sacrilegious. Schultz was enchanted. He began asking about varieties and roasting methods, visited the roasting plant, and met the founders, Jerry Baldwin and Gordon Bowker. Once again, he was welcomed by that intoxicating scent of roasting coffee. The founders admitted they had never dreamed of building a business empire. Back in 1971, when they opened Starbucks, their only goal was to give Seattle residents access to the finest beans. At the time, America's market was dominated by cheap blends, low-grade Robusta, often cut with fillers for profit. Starbucks challenged that culture. From day one, they chose quality over compromise. Their store offered 30 varieties of whole bean coffee, along with personal knowledge and connection. Customers came back again and again, spreading the word to friends. Later, Schultz would say, "There was something magical about Starbucks. I saw more than coffee. I saw warmth, authenticity, culture." He couldn't get the company out of his head. A year later, he took a crazy leap. He left a prestigious job with a $75,000 salary to join a tiny firm. Howard wasn't thinking about what Starbucks already was, but what it could become. He dreamed of hundreds of stores across America, where anyone could experience the same magic he had that day. Convincing the founders, he joined the team with a small stake in the company. From the very first days, he stood behind the counter, talked to customers, learned from roasters, and deepened his understanding of coffee. Step by step, he won the team's trust. In 1983, Starbucks sent Schultz to Milan for a trade show. For most, it would have been just another business trip. For him, it was a revelation. On every corner, he saw espresso bars, where people didn't just drink coffee. They talked, laughed, felt part of a community. Baristas knew customers by name, and the drink was a reason for connection. Howard realized this was exactly what America lacked. Returning to Seattle, he was on fire with the idea. We have to open cafes, not just sell beans. People should drink coffee right here, like in Italy. Starbucks can bring America a new culture, but instead of support, he met rejection. Founders Baldwin, Zev Siegel, and Bowker said, "No, that's not for us. We sell beans and equipment, not drinks. We don't want to become restaurateurs." To them, success was a dangerous distraction. They feared Starbucks would lose its soul, stop knowing customers by name, turn into a generic chain. At best, they allowed him to install a bar in 1 or 2 stores. Howard was crushed. For months, he sank into depression. The company faced financial struggles and even rejected a proven path to profit. But he couldn't abandon his dream. Inside him, a thought lived on. If they won't, I will. So he left Starbucks to start his own venture. He believed investors would share his vision. But launching required $1.7 million, a daunting sum. Proudly, he crafted presentations describing a future where people wouldn't just say a cup of coffee, but a cup of Starbucks. He pictured lines forming on city streets. Surely it would work. But rejection followed rejection. Over a year, he met 242 potential investors. 217 said no. Schultz later admitted, "If you want to know what failure feels like, try raising money for a new venture. Doors close in your face, your confidence gets crushed, and people tell you 100 reasons why your idea will never work." But with every meeting, he refined his pitch, learned to better present himself and his dream. Ironically, the first to invest in him were Starbucks founders themselves. Jerry Baldwin put in $150,000, not because he believed in the idea, but because he believed in Howard. The first outside investor was Dr. Ron Margolis. He didn't even read the business plan, simply saying, "How much do you need?" "Will 100,000 do?" Soon others followed. Harold Corlick with $200,000, and a group of Seattle business leaders who invested $750,000. All of them later saw returns as high as 100 to 1. Thus was born Il Giornale, Howard's first cafe. It wasn't just a store, it was a manifesto. Italian music, warm atmosphere, baristas remembering names. People didn't come for coffee alone. They came for the experience, and it became a sensation. Lines stretched through Seattle streets. Schultz had been right. America was ready for a coffee culture. Fate intervened again. Starbucks founders decided to sell the company. Schultz saw the opportunity of a lifetime. But the price was $3.8 million, about $10 million today. He didn't have it. Once more, countless investor meetings, endless rejections. But this time he was relentless. "This isn't just a business. This is my life." In August 1987, at age 34, Schultz raised the money and bought Starbucks. From then on, Starbucks was no longer just a bean seller. It became the embodiment of a dream. Howard Schultz became the owner of Starbucks. At the time, it was just 17 stores. No global power, no fame. But in his mind was a vision nobody else could see. He said, "We're not in the coffee business. We're in the people business. I'm serving coffee. We create a place where people feel they belong, a third place between home and work," and he acted on it. Starbucks transformed from a retail shop into cafes where people lingered. Music played, Baristas smiled. The atmosphere was warm and inviting. By 1992, the chain had grown to 165 stores. Starbucks went public, reaching a $271 million valuation. For Schultz, it was a triumph, but only the beginning. Americans, long used to coffee on the go in paper cups, discovered a new experience. They came not just for the drink, but for the atmosphere. By the mid-1990s, Starbucks was opening one new cafe every workday. By 2000, there were over 3,500 locations worldwide. But growth wasn't just about expansion. Schultz did what few expected from business. He put people before profit. He was the first in the industry to offer health insurance, even to part-time employees. And he launched the Beanstalk program. Workers received company shares, becoming co-owners. Many critics told him, "You're crazy. These costs will kill your profits." But he believed otherwise. If you take care of people, they'll take care of the business. And he was right. Starbucks employees became loyal and engaged. Customers felt the warmth and respect in every interaction. The company expanded rapidly into Canada, then Japan, Europe, and China. Everywhere the green siren logo appeared, people lined up. By the early 2000s, Starbucks had become not just a coffee chain, but a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of a new lifestyle. By the mid-2000s, Starbucks seemed unstoppable. Thousands of cafes, billions in revenue, an iconic brand. But that's when danger often strikes. Overconfidence and rapid growth can destroy even giants. Starbucks expanded too quickly, sometimes sacrificing quality. The atmosphere that once defined it began to fade. Coffee was turning into a mass product. Customers noticed. Then came the 2008 global financial crisis. People cut spending, and $4 lattes were suddenly in jeopardy. Starbucks' sales plummeted. Shares dropped nearly 50%. Analysts declared, "This is the end." Starbucks was overhyped. People won't pay for overpriced coffee anymore. At that moment, Howard Schultz, who had already stepped away from operations, returned as CEO. This time, it wasn't about chasing a dream but saving a company. First, he spoke candidly to his team. "We lost the soul of the company. We forgot why it all began. I'm back to fix this." Tough measures followed. Over 900 unprofitable stores were shut down. Thousands of employees lost jobs. It was painful, but necessary to save the ship. He refocused on quality. Starbucks renewed its emphasis on taste and freshness. Baristas were retrained in the art of coffee making. At the same time, Starbucks innovated. Mobile apps for ordering, loyalty programs, new customer experiences, and results came quickly. By 2010, sales were rising again. Customers were returning for not just coffee, but atmosphere. The crisis became a rebirth. Starbucks didn't just survive, it grew stronger. Schultz proved, leadership isn't about easy times, but about standing firm when everyone thinks it's over. Today, Starbucks is not just a coffee chain, but one of the world's largest brands. As of 2025, the company operates and licenses over 18,000 stores in North America alone, and tens of thousands worldwide. Howard Schultz returned several times, including as interim CEO in 2022, guiding the company through turbulent times. His name will forever be tied to this story. He was the one who turned a small Seattle chain into a global symbol of coffee culture. Now Starbucks focuses on digital services, new cafe formats, and sustainability initiatives. But one thing remains unchanged. It is a place where a cup of coffee becomes part of the atmosphere, the experience, and the daily life of millions. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring business stories.